Hey everybody, this is Brian Rice, and in this video I want to take you on a rundown of my YouTube home studio setup. Now, the plan is to eventually make individual videos going a bit more in depth on each individual piece of gear that I'm using, the way I did with my earlier video on the Elgato Cam Link 4K. But for now, I just want to take you through this as a whole, go through it relatively quick, or as quick as I can possibly make it without getting too far off the rails, because I just want to get this video out there. I want to be able to showcase how I incorporated gear that I already own as a photographer and a videographer, so that I've had very little overhead necessary to get started. So we're going to go through that right now. All right, so first of all, I'm going to talk about the Elgato Cam Link 4K. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, I already have a video up about that device where I go on pretty deep into how that works and why you need it. So I'm not going to go too much into that right here in this video, except to say that if you want to have a live feed from your camera into your computer, you need to get this device. Now, the way it works is that you connect your camera to the Cam Link via an HDMI cable, and then from the Cam Link, you plug that into a USB port. This is how you transmit a live feed from your DSLR or mirrorless to your computer. A regular HDMI port or HDMI adapter isn't going to cut it. It doesn't have the power to process the signal. You need the Cam Link 4K for that. A webcam wasn't good enough for what I was wanting. The image quality just wasn't up to par, and that's why I preferred to go with the Nikon Z6. The next up is the microphone that I'm using. It is the Rode VideoMicro compact on-camera microphone. It's quite a mouthful for such a tiny device, but it works great. It's very affordable. The Rode VideoMicro compact on-camera microphone, I'm just going to call it the Rode mic from here on out, is a shotgun mic that is intended to be mounted on your DSLR or your mirrorless when you're out on location filming video, and that's indeed what I bought it for, and that's how I use it. But the beauty of it was I was able to repurpose it for this YouTube studio setup. I think the Rode mic is working great. I'm very satisfied with the audio quality that I'm getting out of this. Now, I have the Rode mic connected via a long 3.5 to 3.5 millimeter audio jack cable, and that's plugged into a Zoom H5. Now again, the Zoom H5 is yet another thing that I'm repurposing, and the beauty of the Zoom H5 is that it acts as an audio interface so that the audio from the microphone gets to the computer. And again, it's something that you can't just plug in the microphone directly into your computer's headphone jack. It won't work. It needs to be an audio in, and as far as I know, at least on a MacBook, I don't think that the headphone jack acts as an audio in. I might be wrong about that. I seem to remember seeing somewhere that it wouldn't work that way. You needed an audio interface, so that's what I'm using the Zoom H5 for, and it works great for that. Basically, the Zoom H5 itself is plugged in via it's either a mini or a micro USB connector on the side, and from there the cable routes into its own USB port on my USB hub that I've got connected to my computer. And so basically both the audio feed and the video feed are live streaming directly into my computer as we film this. Now, another thing you're going to discover filming with a DSLR or a mirrorless is that you are going to run out of batteries fast. And even if you have multiple batteries and you're recharging them over and over again, over time, you're just going to wear the batteries out. You're going to run the lifespan out of them because it just goes through batteries so quick. So you're going to eventually realize that you need a power adapter for your camera. What I ended up doing was buying the Nikon brand battery adapter, the EP-5B, and then I plugged that into the third-party power adapter and go that route. So far it's working fine. I haven't had any problems, but again, take that with a grain of salt. if you're going to go third party for power adapters or batteries or battery grips, you are doing it at your own risk, even though, like I said, I haven't had any problems specifically myself with them. So next up is the light source. I am using the RPS Studio Cool LED 100 RS-5610. This is a continuous light. I've owned it for years. I've used it on many video shoots. It's been very efficient and very reliable, although I don't know if they make this same model anymore. However, I do know that there's a newer version that's out there, and I'll look up the link and post that one for you too. Now, I've got the RPS Studio light going through a Elastilite softbox 24 by 24. I prefer to go smaller on this kind of a setup with the light because I've got a 32-inch Elastilite Octabox and I've got a 42-inch umbrella and I think a 60-inch umbrella. But the thing is, those light sources get so large, they just throw light everywhere on the scene. And I want to be able to have some different tones in the background and maybe a little bit behind me. And I've got an egg crate that I lifted from my Elastilite Octabox that I fitted into the softbox here. That I'm using in order to concentrate the light even more directly onto me. And of course, my lighting setup is on a stand. And now we're on to the next piece, and that is the mount stand and mount arms, which I use to mount the camera onto, the zoom onto, and the microphone onto. And this was a piece that was absolutely optional. I didn't need to buy it, but I chose to buy it because I wanted to have a much cleaner and professional looking setup. And that includes a microphone boom arm that I've got my Rode mic connected to right there. And it works out great. Although, like I said, you could get by without it if you absolutely needed to. And finally, I've got some RGB strip lights that I've got set up in the background and on my light stand here. I do have my lamp on because I do like the ambient light that it throws on me. I like to use the RGB strip lights to give a little accent to the background, maybe give a little bit more depth to the background. It's totally optional. You don't need to do it. But if you want to start giving your videos a little bit of character in the way they look, I recommend them very much. All right, so that about does it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to ask questions in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.